The gaur boscorus, also known as the Indian bison, is the largest species of wild cattle and is native to South and Southeast Asia. It is known for its massive size, muscular build, and distinctive dark coat. Here are some key facts about the gaur. Physical characteristics. Adult males can grow up to 2.2 meters, 7.2 feet tall, at the shoulder and weigh between 1,000 to 1,500 kilograms, 2,200 to 3,300 pounds. They have a dark brown to black coat, with males being darker than females. White stockings on the lower legs contrast with their darker bodies. A prominent dorsal ridge gives them a humped appearance. They have large, curved horns that can reach up to 115 centimeters, 45 inches in length. Habitat and distribution. Found in India, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Indonesia. Prefer tropical forests, grasslands, and hilly terrain with abundant water sources. They are most commonly seen in protected areas and wildlife reserve. Diet and behavior. Herbivorous, feeding mainly on grasses, leaves, fruits, and shoots. Prefer grazing during the early morning and late evening. Live in small herds, led by a dominant female, though mature males are often solitary. Have a strong sense of smell and hearing but rely less on vision. Conservation status. Listed as vulnerable VU on the IUCN Red List due to habitat loss, poaching, and disease transmission from domestic cattle. India has the largest population, and it is protected in national parks like Nagarhole, Bandipur, and Pir. Cultural significance. Revered in Indian and Southeast Asian cultures, known for its strength and resilience, it has inspired myths and stories. The Guhal domesticated gaur is bred in northeast India for meat and ceremonial purposes. The gaur plays a crucial role in its ecosystem as a megaherbivore, impacting vegetation, predator populations, and overall biodiversity. Here's how. 1. Vegetation control and seed dispersal. As grazers and browsers, gaurs help maintain the balance of plant species by feeding on grasses, shrubs, and tree leaves. Their feeding patterns prevent overgrowth and promote plant diversity in forests and grasslands. By consuming fruits and excreting seeds, they act as seed dispersers, aiding in forest regeneration. 2. Prey for large predators. Gaurs are an important prey species for apex predators like tigers, Panthera, tigris, the primary natural predator of gaurs. Leopards, occasionally hunt young or weak gaurs. Dholes, wild dogs, Quone alpinus, sometimes attack in packs to bring down gaurs. Their presence helps sustain predator populations and maintains the food chain balance. 3. Soil fertility and water sources. Their movement and grazing patterns help aerate the soil, promoting plant growth. Their dung acts as a natural fertilizer, enriching the soil with nutrients. They rely on and maintain water holes and mud wallows, which benefit other wildlife, especially during dry seasons. 4. Competition and coexistence. Gaurs compete with other herbivores, like elephants, deer, and domestic cattle for food. However, they coexist with many species by feeding at different times or in different areas. Their size and strength often make them dominant over smaller herbivores in shared habitats. 5. Role in forest succession. By feeding on saplings and young trees, gaurs influence which plant species thrive. Their selective grazing can shape the structure of forests and grasslands, impacting the availability of food for other animals. Threats to their ecological role. Habitat loss due to deforestation and agriculture reduces their range. Human-wildlife conflict occurs when gaurs enter farmlands, leading to retaliatory killings. Diseases from domestic cattle can spread to wild populations, affecting their numbers. Conservation efforts for gaurs boscorus. Gaurs are listed as vulnerable VU on the IUCN Red List, meaning they face threats from habitat loss, poaching, and disease transmission. However, several conservation initiatives aim to protect and sustain their populations. 1. Protected areas and national parks. Many gaur populations thrive in protected reserves, where they are safeguarded from hunting and habitat destruction. Some key national parks with significant gaur populations include India, Nagarhole, Bandipur, Periyar, Kanha, and Kaziranga National Parks. Thailand, Kalia, and Wai. Kakong Wildlife Sanctuaries. Malaysia, Taman Negara National Park. Nepal, Chitwan and Bardia National Parks. These areas provide legal protection and a safe habitat for gores to breed and thrive. 2. Anti-poaching measures. Many countries have strict anti-poaching laws to prevent illegal hunting of gores for their meat, hides, and horns. Forest rangers and wildlife authorities patrol gaur habitats to prevent poaching. Use of camera traps and drones helps monitor populations and detect illegal activities. 3. Habitat protection and reforestation. Conservation programs focus on reforesting degraded habitats to ensure gores have access to food and water. Efforts to prevent deforestation and land encroachment by industries and agriculture are crucial. Restoring water sources like ponds and streams in protected areas benefits gores and other wildlife. For reducing human-wildlife conflict. Gores sometimes venture into farmlands, leading to crop destruction and retaliation by farmers. Conservationists work with local communities to create buffer zones and introduce non-lethal deterrents like electric fences and chili-based repellents. Educating communities about gaur behavior and their ecological role helps reduce conflicts. 5. Disease control and veterinary support. Gores are at risk of diseases from domestic cattle, such as foot and mouth disease and rinderpest. Vaccination programs for domestic livestock help prevent the spread of infections to wild populations. Wildlife authorities conduct regular health checkups on gores and reserves. 6. Conservation breeding and reintroduction programs. Some regions have captive breeding programs to increase gaur populations. In Thailand and Malaysia, gores have been successfully bred in wildlife sanctuaries and later released into protected forests. Scientists use radio collars to track reintroduced gores and monitor their adaptation to the wild. 7. Legal protection and international efforts. Gores are protected under CITES Appendix I, which bans international trade of their body parts. In India, they are listed under Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act, 1972, giving them the highest level of protection. Conservation groups like WWF, IUCN, and Wildlife Trust of India work on research, habitat conservation, and awareness campaigns. Success stories. Kanha National Park, India. Gaur populations have increased due to strict protection measures. Waikikong, Thailand. A healthy gaur population exists due to anti-poaching efforts and habitat conservation. Malaysia. Breeding programs have helped stabilize gaur numbers in fragmented forests. Challenges ahead. Continued habitat loss due to urbanization and agriculture. Illegal hunting in some areas remains a threat. Climate change may impact food and water availability. Here are some notable success stories and conservation projects that have helped protect and stabilize gaur populations. 1. Kanha National Park, India, a model for gaur conservation. Problem: habitat destruction and poaching had led to a decline in gaur populations in the early 2000s. Solution: strict anti-poaching measures were implemented. Reforestation efforts restored degraded grasslands. Local communities were involved in conservation efforts, reducing human-wildlife conflict. Success: gaur populations have steadily increased, making Kanha one of the best places in India to see them in the wild. 2. Bandhavgarh National Park, India Gaur Reintroduction Program. Problem: by the 1990s, gores had disappeared from Bandhavgarh due to habitat fragmentation and disease. Solution: in 2011, a reintroduction project brought 50 gores from Kanha National Park. A soft release enclosure allowed them to adapt to their new environment. Monitoring with radio collars helped track their movements. Success: the reintroduced population has thrived and naturally bred, bringing gores back to the park after decades. 3. Waikikong Wildlife Sanctuary, Thailand, poaching control and habitat protection. Problem: Thailand's gaur population faced severe threats from poaching and habitat loss. Solution: the sanctuary was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site, giving it international recognition and protection. Anti-poaching patrols were increased, with ranger stations set up in critical areas. Scientific studies helped improve conservation strategies. Success: the area now has one of Thailand's largest and healthiest gaur populations. For Malaysia's gaur breeding and reintroduction program. Problem: habitat fragmentation due to palm oil plantations and deforestation reduced wild gaur numbers. Solution: conservationists started a captive breeding program at Jenderak Seladong Breeding Center. Some gores were successfully released into protected areas. Awareness campaigns educated local communities about the importance of conserving gores. Success: the program helped stabilize Malaysia's gaur population, preventing further declines. 5. Community-based conservation in Nepal's Chitwan National Park. Problem: Gores in Nepal were at risk due to poaching and habitat loss. Solution: buffer zones were created to separate human settlements from gaur habitats. Local people were involved in ecotourism and gaur monitoring programs. Strict anti-poaching enforcement reduced hunting. Success: gaur numbers in Chitwan increased significantly, and the program also benefited other species like tigers and rhinos. Key takeaways from these success stories. Anti-poaching enforcement is crucial for protecting wild populations. Reintroduction programs can successfully revive gaur populations in lost habitats. Habitat restoration ensures that gores have enough food and water. Involving local communities reduces conflicts and encourages conservation efforts. C.